I better stand up since I have to do it in a live presentation now, right? No matter, I couldn't have sat very long. You know, it's just not, you know, when you're sort of a little excess yang and deficient yin like I am, you can't sit still very long, you know. So that's just... First, first about this introduction, it makes me very happy because one of the reasons I like to teach so much on pediatrics is because this is often the circumstance. People go to school and don't encounter pediatric treatment very much, and then they don't understand how Chinese medicine can do such good work for kids, because what we do for kids affects them their whole life. When we treat an adult, we're treating their condition. But when we're treating a child, they aren't much condition yet. There's still a lot of constitution. There are a lot of their basic inherited nature. So when we interact with that, then that changes them in a lifelong way. So, you know, our impact is so much greater. Plus, as you said this morning, it's like our friends come to visit at the clinic. It's fun to treat kids. And they change in a hurry. Not like old people, you know, it takes a long time to... Kids, they respond really quick. That's really gratifying somehow, you know. Plus, I know many people who come to these kind of teachings at a congress are somewhat more beginner practitioners, and they're interested in building their practice. Kids are really well networked. If you treat a kid, you're going to treat a lot more kids. That's just the nature of it. You're going to treat everybody on their sports team, everybody in their play group, and so it's just such a great field to work in. So I'm always happy when I hear that someone's gotten motivated to work with kids from my lectures. Now, you know, I didn't start out with the idea that I would treat kids. It was just because my teacher normally treated kids, and so I didn't know that you wouldn't do that, unlike many practitioners who are afraid of kids. And they'd hear, oh, Alex treats kids, let's send them all to him because we're afraid of those little things coming in. But this afraid of kids thing is an important issue here, because in order to do pediatrics well, before we talk about what the techniques are and what, the first thing is we have to make a connection to the child. I always say in every lecture I give practically, the most important thing in treatment is to first have a therapeutic relationship with my patient. And so if you don't know how to relate to kids, you can't make the therapeutic relationship. Well, really, there are two therapeutic relationships in pediatrics, the kids and their parents. And we have to build that connection to both of them. And so before we launch into, oh, let's do some kind of pattern differentiation of a disorder with children, we have to think about how do we interact with kids in an effective way. And, you know, it's a lot like animal training. Animal... Yeah, the parents especially. No, everybody. Every interaction is like animal training in that when you train animals, you learn to motivate them to move towards a desired direction. It's all about pressure and release. You put on a certain amount of pressure, you watch the reaction, and you have to know when to release the pressure. And this is extremely important in interacting with kids. Especially if we're going to talk about kids with behavioral disorders, maybe we're going to talk about treating autistic kids or whatever. This pressure and release phenomena it's the fundamental thing. I remember some years ago I was giving a lecture like this, and one of the students said, my sister, so it was her nephew, is autistic. And I'd like for you to take a look at him, but he really has that social anxiety problem. He's afraid of groups, so I can't bring him into the class, but I'll have them come at lunchtime. Can you take a look at him? Well, they arrived a little bit early, and in fact, they were looking in the door, and I started to already put some pressure and release with this child. He'd be looking at me, I'd catch his eye, then I'd look away. And, you know, pretty soon he wandered in the door. And by a little later, he came up to the front. And then soon he was sitting in my lap while I was lecturing. I got really lucky that time. You know, that's not what's going to happen every time. But the principle was there. The principle was he found the safest place to be was with me because I would make contact and release contact at the right time.